Hi everybody, it's Marcy, and I'm here today. I started out just kind of playing, and I wanted to share with you what I figured out. Um, in the last journal I made for Dear Julie's Just Junk Journal Challenge, I was using a book, and the pages of the book are glossy, shiny, which I love the images in the book, but I don't care for the glossy pages. And while I used them as glossy pages in the journal, one of the reasons I don't like it is that when I'm trying to grunge up or age stuff, having shiny pages doesn't really go with that. So, this morning I decided to do a little playing and with shiny papers. And what I ended up doing was I've got some gel matte medium, and what I have here is golden, but there are several less expensive kinds of gel mediums. And you would want, they've got gel matte and gel gloss, and for what I'm doing, gel matte is definitely the way, unless you want to add gloss. Gel matte is definitely what you'd want to use. So that's what I'm using. And I'm just going to take my, started to call it a spatula, but it isn't. It is a, yeah, we're going to call it a spatula because my brain went blank. And I'm going to scoop some of my, it's white in the jar, but it dries clear. And I'm just going to put that, a little bit of that into a jar. And I'm just making a little bit here because I've already made up a bigger batch. Then, I've got my Distress ink, not the oxide, but just the Distress ink. And I've got Vintage Photo. And what I'm going to do is, it's the refill. And I'm going to take a drop of that and mix it in. I'll go ahead and put 2 drops in. Better to start with less than you think you'll need than more, because the refills are pretty strong. Yeah, that's going to be a little darker than I want it. So I should have started with 1 drop. And attempt to mix it all up. I'm going to go ahead. Whoop, whoop, whoop. I'm going to go ahead and get a little more. Gel medium. Let me wash that off so I don't contaminate my gel medium. So for the amount I had in there, 1 drop would have been very sufficient. Okay. That looks a little better. So then I'm just mixing it in really well. Now, I'm guessing, although I haven't tried it, I'm guessing you could probably use clear gesso and do the same thing. I haven't tried it yet. But then what I can do once I've got all that mixed up is put that away. Let me cap that so I don't spill. So I've got my shiny paper, and I'm just going to take my paintbrush, get some of the gel medium. Oh, my brush is too wet. and go over it. And by doing that, when this dries, the matte medium will take the shiny off of the image, and I've aged the image a bit by having the vintage photo in there. So I'm going to go ahead and do this one too. And set it aside, and then while it's drying, I'll try a couple of others. But it's such a simple way to get rid of the shine and also age your image at the same time. So let's set that aside and let it dry for a second. So here I've got an image out of a flower bulb and seed catalog that also has the slightly shiny image. So let's say I wanted to use this image in something. I can get rid of the shine and age my image a little bit. Now the gel medium and your gesso would do the same. It does retain the brush strokes, so you want to use a thin coat, and then let that dry. And here, this is a really thin, it's from a Better Homes and Gardens magazine. Another thing this does, though, is, again, if I wanted to use the apples, but I don't want the shine, and if I wanted to keep the full color, of course, I could just use the uncolored gel medium. But because a lot of what I do, I try to give sort of a vintage feel to anyway, I like having just that little bit of vintage photo in there. Okay. Now this one, because it is so extremely thin, it is bubbling a little bit, but let's give it not bubbling, but wrinkling a little bit. But let's give it a chance to dry and see what that does. And then I thought, now on here I've just got a dictionary page, and it's not shiny at all. Probably in reality, I would just coffee or tea dye this to colorize it. But if you didn't have time, I'm not going to do the whole thing, but this is a quick and easy way to get this done. And you just put on a thin little layer and give it a few minutes to dry. And you'll have some color there. And then one other thing I wanted to try out was, here I've just got a piece of really colorful scrapbook paper, but if I needed to dull that down, now like I said, again, could coffee dye it, but sometimes coffee dyeing it's rather time consuming, or can be. So this is just another way to add a little age I'll just do that thank you for now. Just to add a little bit of age to your project without having to go through and coffee dye everything. Now, I'm going to stick that in there, and I'm going to... So this is the one I did earlier, and it's already completely dry. And it did indeed, it removed the shine. You can see here on this side, I've still got the shine, but right where the shoes are, I got rid of a lot of the shine. The other thing it does is it does give a little more sturdiness to your paper. Just having that thin little layer on there. So I'm not doing a very good job of cutting this out. But now I've got that great image of these shoes from the early 1900s. It's aged as opposed to having a crisp, new-looking image on it. And it's ready to be... Now I can do anything with it that I would with any other image. I can ink around the edges. I can use it. I can collage with it. I can do whatever I want with it. And it's ready to go, but does not have that huge amount of shine on it. Which to me, in a more vintage type journal, it doesn't, to me it just doesn't quite work. So there, and here I just used a little bit of walnut stain, just something a little darker than the vintage photo to ink around the edges. So that is ready to go, and let's see how my other ones are doing. Okay, they're still not completely dry. It takes about 15 minutes for it to dry. That one's doing well. Let's see. Okay, yeah, some of the wrinkling is already starting to settle out of this as it's drying, which I expected. And then this one, it's already almost dry. So all we did here, because this is not shiny paper at all we did was add a little color, gave it a little vintagey look. Anyway, so I just thought I'd share that with you. Quick and easy, and I will probably be using this a lot, and that opens up a lot more where I can use newer things and age them. I just think once it dried, I think that aged that beautifully and got rid of the shine. So that's all I wanted to share. That was my little play for this morning. So until next time, I wish you all a wonderfully happy, crafty day, and I will see you all again very soon. Bye-bye.